You wake up, no messages, no pings, no plans, just air, just quiet, just you. And for a moment that stillness doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like absence, like something's missing, like maybe you're missing, that ache in your chest. It's not just loneliness, it's the fear that you don't matter anymore, that you're drifting, that no one notices you're even here. And that's when most men panic. They chase distraction, cling to anyone who'll respond, just to feel something. Because we were taught that silence means failure, and solitude means weakness. But what if that's a lie? What if stillness isn't your enemy? It's your teacher. The truth is, most men run from the quiet. But the few who don't, they become something rare, something solid. This video isn't for every man. It's for the ones who are done with shallow connections and small talk. The ones ready to stop performing and start becoming. And if that's you, you're exactly where you need to be. Hit subscribe to join the journey here at Stoic 95, and don't forget to click the bell icon so you'll never miss a step in your evolution. Number 1. The illusion of lack. There's a moment, quiet, rare, when a man finds himself without noise. No background music, no scrolling, no half-hearted conversations filling the void. Just silence. The kind that doesn't entertain you. It confronts you. You sit there in that dimly lit room, phone flipped over like a symbol of defiance, curtains drawn halfway as if even the daylight feels too honest. And for the first time in days, or maybe months, you resist the urge to escape. Then it begins. The thoughts start to crawl out. The woman who ghosted you after 3 months of good mornings. That dream you never chased because you convinced yourself it was too late. That version of you, the disciplined, fearless version you promised you'd become and then quietly abandoned. These aren't just memories, they're mirrors. And in that stillness, those reflections cut deeper than any words ever could. You see, most men believe they lack time, or money, or motivation, but that's not the real scarcity. What we truly lack is stillness, the space where truth lives. The Stoics understood this. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." We chase things thinking they'll make us whole, but in truth, we're running not towards something, but away from ourselves. We use women, work, even workouts, not always to build, but to numb, to forget, to avoid looking at the man in the mirror and asking, why am I really restless? Avoidance wears many masks: ambition, productivity, even charm. But its root is fear, not of failure, not of pain, but of exposure. Because when it's just you and your thoughts, the illusion of lack crumbles. You realize you're not empty, you're overcrowded, overstimulated, overcommitted to chasing the next thing instead of facing the now. And here's the paradox. It's only when you embrace that stillness, that void, that nothingness, that you begin to see the fullness of your own strength. In that silence, something sacred happens. You realize those intrusive thoughts, they're not oracles, they're recordings, old scripts written by fear, rejection, and past versions of yourself who didn't know any better. And for the first time, you stop identifying with the man who was ghosted, the man who failed, the man who broke promises. You become the man who remained, the one who looked into the fire of his own chaos and didn't flinch. That's not weakness, that's power. That's the kind of presence that walks into a room and shifts the energy without speaking. The kind of man who doesn't need validation because he's made peace with his own silence. And that, brother, is the beginning of becoming unshakable. Number 2, breaking the approval addiction. Most men don't even realize they're addicts, not to alcohol or nicotine, but to validation. The approval of others has become their hidden vice. It starts subtly, a compliment here, a nod of affirmation there, but slowly it turns into a dependency. We crave being liked, being accepted, being told we're enough, and just like any addiction, it warps who we are. We begin to alter our speech, our style, our opinions, not because we believe differently, but because we want to be liked. What starts as a harmless desire for connection quickly becomes a habit of self-abandonment. Imagine a man at work, laughing, along with a joke that belittles something he deeply believes in, or the guy in a relationship who agrees to everything his partner wants just to keep the peace, even when it violates his boundaries. Or worse, the man who feels the weight of silence after posting posting something on social media, checking obsessively for likes, wondering if he said the wrong thing. Approval seeking is a modern plague. It's a spiritual poverty masked as social currency. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That's the price of being real. And many aren't willing to pay it. This kind of life costs you. It chips away at your identity like water against stone. First, you lose your voice, then your confidence. Eventually, you look in the mirror and don't recognize the man staring back. You've become a chameleon, a master of blending in but a stranger to yourself. The tragedy: most men never realize this erosion until it's too late. They've built entire lives on being liked, and yet they still feel empty. That's because approval is not connection. It's performance, and every performance has an end. The audience leaves, the lights dim, and you're left with the quiet echo of a question: who am I really? So how do you break this addiction? You detox cold turkey. You begin with the brutal discipline of not needing to be seen. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, do I respect me? That question, it stings, but it's the gateway to self-possession. And self-possession isn't loud. It's still, grounded, immovable. It doesn't beg for attention. It commands respect. It's the man who walks into a room and doesn't say much, but his presence speaks volumes. Not because he conforms, but because he's whole. Detox isn't easy. You'll feel withdrawal, you'll feel alone. You'll wonder if people have forgotten you. And in some ways, they have. But that's not death, that's rebirth. You're shedding the mask, the pretending, the need to prove. And in its place, you're discovering something sacred. A man who no longer asks the world who he is, but tells it, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. Because the man who walks in truth walks alone sometimes, but he never walks in chains. Number 3, mastering emotional delayed gratification. We live in a world drunk on speed. Fast food, fast answers, fast love. Our phones are slot machines in our pockets. Every swipe, every click, another hit of dopamine. And most men are hooked, addicted to validation, attention and affirmation that evaporates as fast as it appears. But if you want to build a life, and not just a highlight reel, you need to develop a rare skill: emotional delayed gratification. This isn't about suppressing how you feel. It's about rising above the urge to act on impulse. Imagine this. You text someone and they don't respond. Your ego screams, send another message, demand attention. But you don't. You sit with the discomfort. You own it. You resist the temptation to chase. Why? Because you know that self-respect isn't proven in how you're treated, but in how you choose to respond. And that restraint? That's power. That's emotional discipline. It's the difference between a man who reacts and a man who rules. The Stoics spoke of this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just poetry, that's strategy. A man who delays his emotional reaction isn't weak. He's building firepower. Because silence is not the absence of feeling. It's the presence of control. When she disrespects you and you don't lash out, you rise. When someone pushes your buttons and you don't bite, you evolve. When the world hands you chaos and you return calm, you become uncommon. You become a man who isn't moved by noise, because you've trained yourself to be rooted in silence. You don't just stop texting. You stop needing. You don't just walk away, you walk toward peace. That's what makes you magnetic. Not the noise you make, but the weight you carry. You've learned to filter your emotions like a king protects his kingdom. Because you finally understand your crown is not for sale, not for likes, not for validation, not for quick fix attention. And in a world starving for real presence, that kind of man isn't just attractive, he's unforgettable. Number 4, the power of selective presence. In a world wired for constant connection, the pressure to always be on is suffocating. But real power lies not in endless availability. It's in knowing when to show up and when to step back. Your presence is a currency, and like any currency, if you flood the market, its value drops. When you're everywhere, for everyone, all the time, you lose the impact of your presence. It's like shouting in a crowded room. The louder you get, the more you blend into the noise. Think about a man you've respected, someone whose word mattered, whose attention was earned. Did he chase every conversation? Did he answer every message at midnight just because it pinged? Or did he reserve his energy for what truly deserved it? That's the difference between being a man who commands respect and a man who begs for attention. Being constantly available makes you predictable, and predictability breeds complacency. When she knows you'll always be there, your worth becomes background noise. This is where Stoicism offers a profound lesson. Marcus Aurelius taught us that a man must control his attention, focusing on what is truly important and letting the rest fall away. The Stoic doesn't run from the world, he engages purposefully. When you withdraw, it's not out of fear or insecurity, but out of deliberate intention to build something greater. You pause to sharpen your mind, to strengthen your purpose, and to elevate your presence. This selective absence transforms you from a convenience into a force. Your presence becomes magnetic because it's scarce, earned, and undeniable. So don't fall into the trap of being the man who's always there, but rarely valued. Fear not the silence you create when you step back. Fear instead the emptiness that comes with being too accessible. The men who are constantly reachable are often the ones taken for granted. Make your presence a shift, a moment that disrupts her expectations, a storm she feels deep inside. Be the unexpected force, not the background drizzle. Because what's too easy to reach rarely commands respect, but what arrives with intention leaves a mark that lasts. Conclusion. If something stirred inside you while watching this, if a single line caught you off guard, made you stop and think, then listen closely. That moment is a signal. It means you're on the edge of something greater. Real growth never comes from comfort or easy answers. It comes from that quiet, sometimes uncomfortable shift inside, a crack in the old way of seeing yourself. This video, it's not an end, it's a door opening. What you do next defines everything. Think about the men you admire, those who don't just survive but thrive in chaos and calm alike. They didn't get there by chasing applause or performing for the crowd. They built silently, brick by brick, moment by moment, often in solitude and struggle. Maybe it was the soldier who trains at dawn when no one watches, or the father who sacrifices comfort to build a better future for his kids. Their power isn't loud, it's steady, unshakable, born from discipline and purpose. Like Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. You don't impress by showing off. You impress by being so aligned with your purpose that your presence speaks louder than words. So here's the challenge. If you're ready to stop chasing validation, if you're done performing on a stage where the only audience is your own doubt, then stay. Don't scroll past this moment. Subscribe to Stoic 95, where we cut through the noise, where modern masculinity meets the timeless clarity of Stoic wisdom. This isn't about instant fixes or hollow bravado. It's about becoming a man who stands firm, a man who builds from within, a man who lives with integrity. Remember, don't seek to impress others. Seek to align with your true self. That's where real strength lives. I'll see you in the next one.